Hello and welcome to the Health Bridge. This is Dr. Pedram Shojai here with my wonderful co-host, Dr. Sarah Gottfried.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Health Bridge.
Hey! So today we're gonna have some fun and talk about fashion and self-image and health. We started this huge kind of trajectory on a few shows right now, and we kind of connected the dots, saying, "Oh my God, we got to call Melissa Catherine. She is like the person to talk to about this." Welcome to the Health Bridge, Melissa.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. So excited to talk about this today.
Fantastic. So you have this wonderful platform that you've developed around how fashion meets health. And I'd love to just kind of jump into your backstory quickly and how you got into this so that then we could have some fun with it.
Yeah, so I moved to New York and I got started in the fashion industry, and I am self-taught. So I did design for handbags and accessories and private label. And I always, I made my own prom dress. I was always cutting and sewing things. I just didn't actually think to turn it into a career. But what I loved about fashion, what I've always loved, is not necessarily what's on the runway, but that it's a form of self-expression. And that anytime anybody, even if people say they don't care about fashion, whatever you're putting on your body, you're doing a self-advertisement of how you feel about yourself, how much time you take for yourself, and really about your own personal style. So in my journey, I was in the fashion industry. I went back to school for holistic nutrition. I myself had really suffered with poor body image and had been on the yo-yo dieting cycle forever and a day. And with that, I would see the patterns that when my weight would be up, I would just want to walk around in big sweaters and leggings. And I didn't really want to be seen. I would, walk around with my head down. And that's if I was 1 pound, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. And so that's something that I would see with women all the time. And I was a personal trainer too on the side, and when I went back to school, I would notice that women would either, and this is men too, that they would be killing themselves in the gym, but they didn't know, it was clear that they didn't know how to eat right. And then it was, or the opposite, they would be eating right, but they couldn't get the body that they wanted because they didn't know how to work out for their body. And then the same thing would go for fashion, where they would lose the weight, but it hadn't connected. They still saw themselves as being heavier. Or women that just would wait until they lose that weight to get to that size before they want to go and buy clothes that make them feel really good about themselves. So that's where I got the idea, where I said I want to create a one-stop shop where you can get nutrition, fitness, fashion, and the mindset piece so that you can really have that transformation and lasting change.
Oh, I love this so much. And I'm not sure which I'm excited about more, that Pedram's willing to talk about fashion or that we have you on the show to bring all of this together. So let me ask you about the mindset, because I can tell you, Melissa, in my own life and also with 2 daughters, that I just think this body image issue is so gigantic. And the gap that you are addressing, I think, is so important. So let's talk a bit about mindset. And, why is it that so many of us feel like we need the tunic and the leggings, or, we need to put our life on hold until we finally have the, the butt that's lifted a couple of inches, or the thigh gap? Can we talk about that?
No, definitely. And I love what you said about your daughters, because I'm so passionate about the younger generations, because it's really scary, the lengths that they're going to, and this perfection, this idealism of really the thigh gap, like not having anything on your body but your bones, and just being so skinny and seeing that and actually liking to see that. And what I found is, women in particular, we're so incredibly hard on ourselves. And right now we're in a society where the standards are, this is what's considered pretty. You go to other countries and being voluptuous, celebrating your curves. You go on the beaches there and women lay out of all sizes naked. In the United States, it's cover up, but then at the same time, be ashamed if you're not a certain, a size 0. I mean, we've now gone into sizes that are below a size 0, which is just, beyond words. I can't really actually even put into words. So I think what really happens is girls younger and younger are starting to diet. And again, this is happening for men too. I mean, nobody really talks about it, but young boys also have eating disorders, and it's going unnoticed. And one thing that I even see more times than not that is the girl that uses being so healthy as a way to stay in that dieter's mentality and keeping herself from really enjoying life. And I know because I did that. I went from having the unhealthy habits and that dieter's prison to going into another one where everything was like, oh, well, I don't eat gluten. Oh, no, I don't eat dairy. I don't eat wheat. I don't eat meat. I basically don't eat anything that isn't comprised of water and vegetables. So the most calorie deficit, and then the foods that I would have when I would splurge would be these, and this is what I'm seeing that's very common with a lot of the younger clients that I have is it's the bars and the shakes. And they're not real meals, but it's things that have no calories and tons of chemicals.
Yeah, this is such a good point. And I want to just say you're absolutely right about the beaches of Europe, for instance, where women, I think, are much more accepting of their bodies. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Lena Dunham. So I'm so glad that we've got her producing, directing, starring in Girls. And, she's got a body that she's very proud of, and she is showing it all the time on TV. And I love that we're going in that direction. I love that, there's some modeling agencies that are requiring certain standards in terms of height and weight and not using models that are below that. And, but it's too little, too late in some ways. So I really appreciate being able to talk about some of the ways to turn the ship around.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and what I found to be the most powerful is it does start at home. It starts with your parents, and it starts with seeing them as an example. And that's, again, why I'm so passionate about this work. And I have a lot of mothers that come to me and say, I want to change the way I'm doing this because I don't want my daughters to follow or to see a bad example. And I see them noticing that I'm eating different foods or that I'm beating myself up. And so I think it starts at home. I think it starts with really celebrating your bodies and telling your daughters and just your children in general to really love themselves exactly as they are, and not criticizing, and allowing them to have that freedom of expression with their bodies and with themselves in terms of, especially with the way that they want to dress. A lot of parents condemn their children for expressing themselves. And yes, maybe some of it can be risque, but there's more to allowing your children to wear these things and feel good in them, regardless of their size. And then later on, if it's still continuing, having different conversations around, the way you're perceiving yourself and what that's gaining. But sometimes it's just an exploration. And I see a lot of parents putting the hammer down because they want their children to look a certain way that they deem to be acceptable.
I'd like to talk about the other side of that as well, because you're in LA, New York, some big metropolitan area. You could care about fashion, and that really pushes you. But I lived in El Paso, Texas for a couple years, and I was exposed to a lot of people who couldn't give a damn and were wearing baggy clothes and had completely fallen out of that, because the other side of that is just so ridiculous and so aspirational that if you're even on the periphery, you could worry about it. But if you've already fallen and you're 30-40 pounds overweight, it's like you feel like an outcast in society, and therefore you don't care at all what you look like. And so there's this other side of that spectrum that's almost like generational dropouts in fashion and self-image and all this, because they feel like that world is so far away from them that they're completely kind of disenfranchised. And I'd love to speak to that a little bit too, because self-image and health are very far apart. Right? I mean, I don't care if my kids look great. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be able to run, climb trees and scramble around and do what kids do, and not worry about what people think and how they look. So, I'd love to talk about that quickly.
Yeah, so I grew up in Delaware. So I totally hear you 100%. And I get the smaller towns and the places where, it's not fashion forward. I had no stores really growing up, so I totally get it. But what I want to really say is what happens, which, you guys know, is once we gain that much weight and we start to feel that way, we've really spiraled into we're in a dark place. And so what I love about fashion is it doesn't have to be anything that has to be about the runway or at all, actually, or spending a lot of money. It's about just wanting to dress to feel good for you, whatever that means, and taking the time for that. So everyone has a different idea of what makes them feel good, right? And you can tell when somebody puts on something where they're like, I look good. Now, we might think it's ridiculous or not like it. It doesn't matter. It's about them. So in that space, what I want to do is encourage people that embrace the size that you are and start to make those changes. Because if you just, put on a shirt that's makes you feel good that day, or you're taking time for yourself in another way, that's you making yourself a priority. And that's you saying that I'm worth it. And that's a part of that health and that body image and that love of self that is a projection of it's what we are putting on. And there's an energy that comes with that and a confidence that you're exuding. And that helps you to take those next steps forward because you start to feel differently and energetically get a different response. And then you want to do more of that. Does that answer?
I think you did answer his question. And one thing you're getting me to consider here, Melissa, is the biology of self-image, the biology of fashion, and how there are, for instance, hormonal drivers of, maybe related to cortisol or estrogen or testosterone that are involved in choosing how you dress for yourself in the morning. And Pedram, I was thinking about you. I was thinking about your son Saul, and this idea of not wanting our kids to dress to please others, but really to be able to have this kind of internal process. And it's interesting because I've got one daughter who's about to turn 15. And she has been going through puberty for a little while, and she's at that age where girls have more estrogen. They're like seeing estrogen for the first time. They've got more oxytocin. They want to be with their girlfriends. They want to dress in the latest fashions. And that is more important than anything else, way more important than your relationship with your mom or, like homework and other things like that. And I'm on the other side. I'm on the opposite of puberty and perimenopause where, before we started our podcast today, I was looking down to make sure my shirt wasn't inside out. And Pedram was telling me to brush my hair. So I don't give a damn. And so I think it's interesting to look at the biological metrics of this. Have you considered that in your work, Melissa?
Well, actually, you just brought up such a good point. I've thought about it quite a bit of recent in particular because the scope of clients that I have is ranging so dramatically, but I'm seeing so many of the similar struggles, but they're happening in different spaces. And it's really, really interesting to me. So I would love to actually talk with you about that further since you are an expert in that area. But I have thought about that, and what I do see, it's very similar to, when we're lacking sleep and everything is just, Pedram's like, yes. And,
Pedram, should we have a moment of silence for Pedram here?
Totally. Can we mourn my lost sleep this week?
No, but I mean, I think of something as simple as when we are, up all night. And then we wake up in the morning and we're like, just put me in anything. I don't even care. You're so hungry because your cortisol is all over the place. Your body's just like, give me energy to get through the day. You're snapping at people. And yeah, I think all of that weighs into, obviously when you're in that erratic hormonal space, the way that you're judging yourself is very harsh. And so that too is going to be, okay, you're waking up already in a negative space with yourself and your body. So waking up and the first thing that we do, we go and get dressed in the morning. And that in and of itself can be an awful experience for a lot of young girls and women when they're sitting there going to put their clothes on, and men when things don't fit and when they're not liking what they see and how they feel.
Can I weigh in as a guy in on this? And I can tell you right now that when it's close to my wife's cycle, I know it'll take three to four times as long to get dressed. Because she'll come out and say, honey, what about this? And I'll say, oh my God, that's beautiful, honey, I love it. And then she'll be like, nah. and she'll change 3 or 4 times, and I'll just stop and say, okay, don't judge, don't snap, don't be that guy. Just understand that this is a hormonal self-image moment that has nothing to do with what she's wearing or how she looks. And it's an inside game. So I'll have to literally get out of, thousands of years of Y chromosome programming and not be a jerk, right?
And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to our show on sex differences. Pedram, that was so gracefully done. You were walking on some eggshells there, man.
I know.
You escaped the bullet.
I'm agile.
Totally did it. I'm actually sitting here. I'm like, your wife is lucky that you're so knowledgeable about this stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I notice it all the time, and it's like, okay, got it. This is a real thing. This is a really intelligent human being that's having an emotional thing that has nothing to do with the clothing or the body or any of it. It's just she doesn't feel well, and it translates into self-image. So I mean, I'm sure we could do 20 shows on that. But what would your advice be to someone who's in that moment, who's just like, oh my God, I can't find anything. I feel ugly. I feel this. I feel that. What would your advice be to someone to empower them with how they can use fashion and self-image to transform in that moment?
So there's 2 things. One, I always equip people and say, have 2 to 3 go-to outfits that regardless, look good, you feel good in them, regardless of the time of month, regardless of whether you've put some weight on, they're your go-tos. Have one gym, work, date, whatever it is, like social situations, have them there, go to those, especially when it's coming up on your cycle. This is when I really, really push people to take self-care to the next level and be really compassionate with themselves. Take a time out, go and do deep breathing, breath work, and actually sit there and do some positive affirmations. I'm a huge proponent of affirmations, meditation, and doing any sort of mirror work where you're just reminding yourself and looking at yourself and saying, damn, I'm hot. I love myself. I love my body. And just breathe into it, and then just, again, give yourself that self-care, whatever, you need to do that is in your arsenal of resources, and do that. But those would be my top 3.
Okay, that totally rocks. I have to say, I'm wearing some skinny jeans that are maybe a little tight right now, and so I'm gonna rock an affirmation here. Damn, I'm hot in these skinny jeans.
See?
Damn, you're hot in those skinny jeans.
You can't even see them.
I know, but I've seen you.
I've seen you too.
Yeah, and that's what I actually do with my wife in those moments. Is I'll come up and just be like, okay, this is the other math, and I'll just come in and give her a warm, tender hug and kind of kiss her on the cheek and the head and just be like, honey, you're beautiful, right? Because it has nothing to do with the outfit. And so, guys, if you're listening, jump in there.
Yeah,
and then make her an appointment for a massage, and you're golden.
Sarah's like, and then take her on a shopping trip and buy her
totally.
Now just give her a credit card.
Totally. Now she's just hoping that there's one guy listening.
Right?
Dave, don't fall for it. It's a trap. Melissa, awesome. I love your contribution to the world with this. I think it's just such a wonderful and unique blend of goodness. And I would love people to be able to find you in the universe. So what's your website?
Yeah, you can go to melissakathryn.com. It's melissakathryn.com. And you can find me there.
Fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. I think the world needs it, and we'd love to have you back. And one of these days, I'm gonna have you dress me just for fun.
Yes.
Out there. That's exactly what I'm doing. Stop when I get to the West Coast.
Okay, deal. Next time you come to the West Coast, you're gonna dress me and Sarah, and then we'll do like a photo shoot, and we'll put it on our Facebook page.
Nice. I like it. Melissa, damn, you're hot. We're so happy to have you. Thank you.
You're hot. No skinny jeans. Go rock it. What's up?
Thank you guys. This has been The Health Bridge, facebook.com/The Health Bridge. Let us know what you think. And we're here. We're taking suggestions for shows.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.